Hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you, giving you game one in a series between HLA and Lucifer. And when I mean series, I mean best of one. I'm really having a hard time trying to find any WarCraft 3 replays right now, as the majority of the events are hosted by the WCA that is currently going on. If you guys have not checked that out, definitely check out Back to WarCraft and his live coverage of those events as well. I would love to be able to cast those events at some point in time if I have a little bit of a heads up. Anyways, this is HLA versus Lucifer. Lucifer has spawned as the gray undead on the top left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, HLA has spawned as the yellow undead on the bottom right. This is an undead versus undead matchup, and it is best of one, so I don't need to make any anti-spoiler videos. Ooh. Alright, any smart player out there or smart viewer knows that there is going to be an undead winner in this matchup, unless creeps happen to take down the buildings at exactly the same time. I'm not quite sure if that could actually happen. I guess the other players can also do a perfect tie as well, as there's a little bit of lag coming into play. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and speed things up. Let's take a look at what's happening here. Altar of Darkness is not yet done for HLA. Meanwhile, Lucifer is already done with his Altar of Darkness and training up that Death Knight. Death Knight will be popping out here in just a moment alongside a couple of ghouls, and I believe he may be going for a little bit of creeping. Now, one of the interesting aspects of an undead versus undead mirror match is that the death coil can only heal. Yes, you can death coil the creeps, but a lot of the time you're really trying to perhaps make a bit of a play on your opponent. As you can see, well, that creep is going to get taken down here. And skeletal minions are now going to be running out across the field. You can see one Crypt Fiend off over here as well, as HLA going to engage with Crypt Fiends. Not quite sure what Lucifer is really looking to do here. Those skeletal minions do regenerate better on Blight, but there is going to be a Nerubian tower down by HLA to help protect against any sort of early harassment. Death Knight just made its way out, and they are going to be doing a little bit of an exchange right there. You can see ghouls now coming off as the towers are now done. A second Rod of Necromancy already coming in. Beautiful play and use, knowing that his opponent perhaps may go for an early graveyard using those skeletal minions against his opponent. That graveyard making oh wow, nice long distance death coil there to try to put a little bit of pressure down here. You can see one acolyte will get taken out, and another acolyte may get taken out there. There is another death coil as the Death Knight still wandering around. There's another death coil there, saving a skeletal minion, as the Death Knight now needs to run away down to 53 hit points. It looks like he will, I don't know, wow, down to 26 hit points and barely escapes. He was able to force a number of acolytes to be trained. There goes another acolyte there, but the Death Knight has fallen. That was at the hands of some creeps, and that was deliberate. I believe that was at the hand of some creeps. Yeah, only 48 experience. That means that the Death Knight of HLA did not get the killing blow, and this Death Knight is just going to be resurrecting. Now, you can see what the ultimate play of Lucifer was. Faster tech to tier 2. He is about 2/3 of the way done. HLA nowhere, not even started yet. So a second hero could be popping out in just a moment. Or perhaps if the Death Knight tries and grab a Naga Sea Witch early on, that could have a potentially devastating effect as well. Ghouls are now out as well. You can see the Death Knight did get one kill on an Acolyte while the Acolyte was still alive. Meanwhile, HLA going after the Forest Troll Warlord here. And this is going to be a little bit dangerous, as the Murloc Nightcrawlers are now spreading around as well. Death Knight has picked up a health stone. He is going to be able to regenerate a little bit more hit points. Meanwhile, Lucifer is still running around here, only has skeletal minions, and is now finally adding Crypt Fiends to the bunch. Alright, there is that engagement there. Death Knight could be going after some of HLA's units. HLA's units are currently poisoned a bit, as the Death Knight now using Unholy Aura to bring back those Crypt Fiends. Death Knight knows that that the level had to come from somewhere, and is now going to use the skeletons from down over here and help or finish clearing off this creep camp, not knowing that there were Nightcrawlers in here as well. Death Knight now coming across over here as we see Lucifer getting creep-jacked, and HLA with a beautiful long-distance death coil steal denying some experience from HLA. Now, we don't see anything except for a very, very quick tech to tier 3. And this, my friends, may be a problem. HLA is winning in the hero front, and all Lucifer has to really show for it right now is just some more tech. We could be perhaps going for Abominations earlier on. Abominations are incredibly powerful against those Crypt Fiends, dealing medium damage, as the Death Knight coming across over here, trying to land a Death Coil, unable to do so, and HLA's Death Knight may in fact get to level 3, which would be incredibly damaging already. All right, let's take a look. Is HLA... nope, no, not even a death of a skeletal minion right there. Finally getting a little bit of experience, 39 experience to be had, as the Crypt Fiends are now still trying to engage. You can see the Murloc Nightcrawler getting in a bit of damage across other units. Skeletal minions trying to chase after there, as the level 2 Death Coil was forced to be used. All right, going after this Nightcrawler now. Nightcrawler is going to get taken down. Death Knight finally a little bit more experience, about halfway to level 2 as he's trying to escape. Does not have Unholy Aura, as Lucifer is trying to get in harm's way here. All right, Death Knight at 74 or 71 mana, 72, 73, 74, and the Crypt Fiend falls. Level 3 on the Death Knight, adding insult to injury there. The regeneration of the mana just a second late. And with that, the Death Knight, now sitting at level 3, will be able to get level 2 Death Coils off. All right, we are getting now back onto Blight, as the units are going to be healing. You have to be careful here. You can see there is one Obsidian statue sitting at 34 over 40 supply compared to 36 over 40. We are checking the Black Citadel as well, but HLA does have level 3. Coming back across over here, you can see the Healthstone is still being used, as well as the Murloc Nightcrawlers going after these units here. Death Knight here not venturing forth, as we see the Lich now coming out with an Orb of Corruption. That Orb of Corruption could be the difference between victory and defeat right now, as Lucifer has that and only that going for it. Death Knight now coming across over here, and this creep camp has pretty much been cleared of the main Forest Troll. Warlord, the Forest Troll Berserkers, and the Murloc Nightcrawlers are all that is left behind, but that will give the Death Knight level 2. Back down across over here, Death Knight clearing out the Null Overseers as well. Has an Ankh of Reincarnation, a very powerful item, but having the Death Knight gone from your army for 5 to 7 seconds does significantly hurt. And you are still giving a little bit of experience. That is something you have to be concerned about. We are seeing more Obsidian statues be added. Are we going to be going into Destroyers? That is going to be the next question there, as the Death Knight needs to pick up perhaps a lesser potion of invulnerability. Lich still sitting at level 1, getting very, very close to level 2. Black Citadel nearly done for HLA as we are transitioning into the mid-game. You can see the Lich going after this Null Overseer here. Death Knight needs to be far enough away to not steal any of the experience, but still wants to give a little bit of Unholy Aura to help with passive regeneration. All right, the Null Warden here just getting in some free damage. Not quite sure what's happening over here, as there you go. There is the Frost Nova, as the Lich now about halfway to level 2. Gonna finish off the rest of these creeps here. And once this creep camp is taken out, Death Knight is going to come across. There's a Death Coil, does do the save. Manual of Health being picked up by the Lich as well, as he is already very, very low on health. Lich, level 2. Death Knight, almost level 3. If you can get the other shop, the HLA and Lucifer will pretty much be neck and neck in terms of experience levels. The Death Knight does end up picking up Orb of Corruption. That's going to be given to the Lich very quickly, as the Lich is now, well, by himself in order to finish off this Ogre Magi creep camp. Lich is going to be closer to level 3 than his opponent, I do believe, but a Dark Ranger already added as well. Death Knight sitting at 3, Lich sitting at 2, Dark Ranger sitting at 1. Back across over here, you can see, an illusion keeping track of all this here, as a Dark Ranger was picked up by HLA. This is a true mirror match, as the Death Knight and the Dark Ranger are off over here. They're going to keep track of everything, and now we see a bit of an engagement. Lich is still engaging. Lich is almost at level 2. Meanwhile, the remaining units are coming back across over here to try and finish things up. The Lich may not get to level 3, unfortunately, just because the remaining heroes got within range. All right, 3 Liches currently out on the field. HLA with a Sentry Ward down. as the Death Knight illusion will get cleared up here in just a moment. Now, coming back across over here, Null Brute, Null, and Null Geomancer should get taken down. The Lich will get to level 3 here. Level 2 Frost Nova is going to be the key in this fight, as we see HLA somehow has fallen behind in the experience race. Now, with this double Liches right there, you know that one of them, you know that none of them are real. HLA just making quick work of those Liches there, as the remaining units are still getting attacked. All right, here we go. There's the engagement. There's a Frost Nova. There is a Silence Death Coil coming in already, as the quick burrow does go into play. All right, one Crypt Fiend now down. Death Knight trying to save some units. Units are just going back and forth. There is another Frost Nova, but Lucifer without any burrow may end up losing more Crypt Fiends. All right, we are still engaging back and forth. This Crypt Fiend from HLA gets Frost Nova down immediately, and that level 3 Lich from Lucifer doing exactly what he needs to do. All right, Lucifer, however, no, Dark Ritualed at that one particular unit there, as we see another Crypt Fiend go taken out. All right, both sides losing a lot of units so far. Another burrow right there. Death Knight, HLA gets a Death Coil off, but it didn't look like that unit was that low on hit points. Meanwhile, you can see that HLA does have a burrowed Crypt Fiend there. Lucifer has some Obsidian statues that are currently not engaging, as both sides are still fighting. All right, let's take a look back down across here. HLA with burrowed Crypt Fiends here. Let's take a look. Skeletal Minion is going to get taken down. Dark Ranger does have black arrows now, as both sides are fighting Skeletal Minions. Yeah, Skeletal Minions there, as the Dark Ranger may be forced to turn around and fight here in just a bit. HLA has plenty of Crypt Fiends to bolster up his army, as the Lich now making his way back off to the north. 51 over 60 compared to 49 over 50. Right now, Lucifer has a slight advantage because he is not losing 3 gold a second, as Skeletal Minions are still getting taken out still. All right, this Lich at 189 mana and climbing should be able to get some more Frost Novas. Scroll of Healing, Dust of Appearance, as you can see that all of these guys are now pretty much back and joined in on the fight. Death Knight now heading back off to the north. HLA benefiting from saving 2 of his Crypt Fiends with that burrow ability, as the units are now trying to run back away. All right, Obsidian Statue quickly taken down. Death Coil saved there. Both sides still fighting. Are we going to perhaps see Scroll of Healing, Dust of Appearance? There goes 1. There goes 2 units, as both sides are still fighting once again. The Frost Nova, as the Crypt Fiends are getting taken out. The Crypt Fiends having a very bad day here, as the abominations from both sides are just absolutely tearing them apart. All right, Destroyer now up in the air, quickly gets webbed down, and Lucifer going to be able to finish off or get his, well, is he going to be able to save that Destroyer? It looks like he might be able to with a Death Coil. Is a second Death Coil coming in? It does not look like it, and HLA gets the level 4 on his Death Knight, level 3 on the Lich, as we are still fighting it out. Dust of Appearance being used. There goes another Crypt Fiend, and everyone is losing units left and right. So far, really difficult to figure out who has the advantage here. Frost Nova on another unit there. There's a Dark Ritual. So a lot of units just getting killed on both sides. Lich now trying to fight, as the black arrows are coming in ever so quickly. Level 4 on HLA's units, as we see the remaining units now trying to head back up the ramp there. Lucifer needs to save this abomination. Lich still has plenty of mana there. That abomination down to 975 hit points. Lich could turn around, land a Frost Nova, but decides against it. We are at 43 over 60 compared to 43 over 60. HLA and Lucifer giving an entertaining game here, as both sides sitting pretty much neck and neck. Lucifer looking to finish off this 5-3-3 creep camp. Death Knight gonna get finished off. Circuit of Nobility picked up by the Lich. Lich at +9 attack. Death Knight almost at level 4, leaving behind a Tome of Strength. No, actually purposely going nope, going back to read it. All right, meanwhile, back to the south, you see HLA actually clearing out a Red Drake creep camp. That is going to help. The Dark Ranger is only sitting at level 1, though, not yet at level 2. So it is a 4-3-2. No, is I believe a 3-3-2 compared to a 4-3-1. Very, very even in terms of hero levels. All right, there goes a ghoul, and that ghoul is going to have a very bad day in just a second. There it goes, Death Knight just shy of level 4 as we're going to clear out this over here to the top right. All right, Node Shade keeping track of the Undead army as HLA is coming in across Lucifer. Are we going to see things get taken down fast enough? Obsidian statues need to get repositioned, and units may get caught in transit, which is the absolute worst place to be. Dark Ranger now sitting at level 3, as we are now going to be turning around and fighting HLA, Frost Nova, Death Coil, saving. More units are coming in from the back. Both sides are fighting, burrowing, coming in from Lucifer's own Crypt Fiends as a silence lands on some heroes. All right, Destroyer form now up in the air, but gonna get quickly webbed down. Lucifer is gonna be able to save as HLA tries to run away with the Crypt Fiend, unable to do so. Both sides still fighting. Lich now down to 187 hit points. It looks like it's going to be able to survive. And Lucifer slowly but surely dealing a lot of damage here and taking down a lot of units. It looks as though, yes, another beautiful save by Lucifer as HLA's Dark Ranger may get taken down. There's a Frost Nova right there. HLA loses his Dark Ranger as the Lich now sits at level 4. All right. We can see HLA trying to move away over there. Frost Nova on the Lich. Is the Lich going to be able to escape? Down to 105 hit points. Goblin Zeppelin and inside in time as we see the Lich currently up in the air. All right. Currently trying to pick up more units. Has to be careful about Web. That unit is now back away. Death Knight now wandering around still. HLA's Obsidian Statue taking a little bit of damage as Lucifer trying to run away with his Death Knight. Death Knight does have Rune Bracers. Will be able to survive. There is the Dust of Appearance and a dead Crypt Fiend once more. Death Knight still running around in circles though. Takes a Frost Nova from a Goblin Zeppelin, or a Lich from a Goblin Zeppelin who just jumped down for a split second. Death Knight can still cause a lot of problems here. There goes the Lich. Lich now back out onto the field. Frost Nova could go down. Potion of Invulnerability. No. Lich has been taken down, and there is the GG by HLA. Lucifer taking the game and the series. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was an amazing, amazing game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And hope to see you guys on BattleNet. Follow me on Facebook. If you guys haven't done so, definitely follow me on Facebook. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I know I'm still 40,000 subscribers away from the silver play button, but that is something that, now that I know that YouTube is doing, is something that I would be interested in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.